The movie. The movie The Happening. From the year 2008, I believe. Starring Marky Mark, also known as Mark Wahlberg, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. It is, in fact, 2008. It is a thriller, horror, suspense, sort of, but it's so bad. Almost every choice seems like a little off with this movie. The direction, the way people talk, the line delivery, as well as just the dialogue in general. The fucking whole premise is crazy, which is that plants are just like killing people with they're like sending out a neurotoxin to kill people. Well, they make people kill themselves. Which is like, if you think of that as an idea in general, like something mysterious, some sort of mysterious gas or neurotoxin that comes and gets breathed by the public and makes you want to kill yourself, like that has potential. This had potential to be good. Like the concept isn't terrible. Just the way it's executed it's bizarre. It's bad. And this movie is terrible, but I am going to recommend it for, at least for people like me who enjoy movies that are this bad. Because I actually was laughing. If you take this like a comedy, it's actually pretty funny. Mother Nature's Revenge, exactly. You get it. So, if anyone wants to join the Discord and talk about this movie with me, or if you're already a part of the Discord, pop on in, let me know, and we'll start talking about the movie. I'll bring you in on the voice chat with Discord. But in the meantime, I'm just going to keep talking about it. But let me know if anyone wants to talk about it with me in the Discord. So yeah, let's look at the Rotten Tomatoes. So 18%. This is pretty bad. Let's try to find one of the good reviews. But 24% audience. So no one likes this because it's bad. It's probably one of Shyamalan's most hated movies. But let's look at the critics' consensus. So 18%, like I said, not great. In fact, that's pretty bad. The Happening begins with promise, but unfortunately descends into an incoherent and unconvincing trifle. Honestly, I think it's weird. It sort of starts off pretty bad. It gets worse, but it starts off immediately like, what is going on? People aren't talking normal. The things people are saying don't make sense. The rules of how this thing affects people doesn't even make sense, and we'll get into all that shortly here. But yeah, so I don't really agree with that critics' consensus. I don't even agree that it begins with promise. This movie's not good, but again, so bad it is good, yes, but that's different. That's a different sort of thing. Let's read some of the bad reviews, because there's a bunch. The Happening is his first hilariously awful film. Yeah, probably. I would say so. And probably some people would say Lady in the Water. I haven't seen Lady in the Water, but I had seen this before. I saw this in the theaters, and I remember the people that I was watching the movie with, some of the people, they were actually getting scared by it, and I was just thinking, like, this is so dumb. It's so silly. How are you getting scared from it? But we were kind of young, and there's like gore in this and stuff. I don't even know how we got in, because I think this is 18A, or at least it's restricted. Maybe it was 14A here. Sometimes they do that. So maybe we could have watched it. But there is some gore, but there's no nudity. So maybe that's why it didn't get the amp up to 18A. Let's read some more bad reviews. The Happening is an awful letdown, yet it leaves you with something new, as a gently waving tree, that classical image of pastoral tranquility mutates into a harbinger of doom. So they kind of like that the trees, they like the concept is what I sort of take away from that, I sort of agree with that in a way. But I don't love the shots, because there's so many shots of just like trees fucking blowing in the wind, and it's supposed to be scary, and it's just not. It's just not scary. But suppose you squint your eyes and pretend it's a satirical comedy. This is a positive review. Exactly. In that case, it turns from an all-time debacle to one of the most unintentionally funny and prescient horror comedies of the 21st century. Yes, if you take this like a comedy, I agree, it's fun. It's still funny. Filtering Hitchcock through Spielberg, Shyamalan offers two righteous gimmicks that compensate for the script's grating sentimentality and a mutinous star performance. Well, yeah, the performances are all over, and these are good actors. Zooey Deschanel, Mark Wahlberg. We've seen good performance from them in the past. We know they can act, but this ain't it. Their performances are rough in this, but it's because I think it's the direction. Because I like Shyamalan and I like some of his movies, but he does not know how to portray like regular humans talking very well, in my opinion. The dialogue often feels very wooden in this case, and like the delivery of Mark Wahlberg, the way he says lines is like, okay guys, the honeybees are collapsing and they're dying. Guys, like he sort of talks like that. That's my best impersonation of it. Okay, moving on to the IMDb page. 5 out of 10. Debatably too high for this movie for IMDb. I'm probably going to give it above 5, but again, it's because I'm treating this as a comedy, and it is so bad it's good in my opinion. Zooey Deschanel is in this movie, and so is John Leguizamo. So yeah, Mark Wahlberg, Zooey Deschanel, John Leguizamo. Is there anybody else? This Spencer Breslin, he's in other stuff, I think. I don't see any other actors I recognize. So let's go look at down here at the box office information. So this made some money, even though this movie is terrible. People went to see it like I did. I saw this on the theaters too. In 2008, I saw a video that was explaining like people were just watching more movies. In the year 2008, like almost everything that went out made a bunch of money. Kung Fu Panda, way better movie, but still, kind of a random idea. It makes a huge bunch of money. This movie, kind of a cool idea, but executed terribly and is not a good movie, makes a ton of money. $48 million budget with $163,403,799 gross worldwide. So that's pretty great. Oh my god, I totally forgot that Mark talked like that. Such a nerd in the movie. It's so funny. It's like the kids are written like adults, and the adults are written more like kids. It almost seems like some of the time in this movie, because he's talking like that, almost like a little kid, and then like he'll give the kids these grown up lines, like Zooey Deschanel asks John Leguizamo's daughter, is like, how are you doing? And she's like, hanging in there. Like, what? Hanging in there? That's like something a 40-year-old steel worker would say, or something, not an 8-year-old girl. But it's kind of funny. Again, it adds to the unintentional comedy that is this movie. But yeah, that's the IMDb page. I have to go get my notepad real quick. I got a whole bunch of notes on this movie. So many, really. Because, oh man, there's so much to talk about with this movie. So many silly things happen. So the happening notes. People look like they're clawing themselves, but do they really? So they say that at one point. There's so many weird things about the opening sequence. So there's two people on a bench. This is how the movie opens. And they're both reading the same book, which is, I guess, that's what Shyamalan thinks middle-aged women do. Maybe some of them do. I don't know. It seems weird. Because one of them is like, do you remember where I am in the book? And she's like, yeah, you're at this part. Like, how does she know what part the other woman is at in the book? Are they reading at the same time? Like, I don't know. It's just, again, the way the humans act in this movie is weird. But yeah, this is where we see the first part of this event, the happening, when people just start killing themselves. But first off, everybody stops. Everybody is still, except for the one woman who is noticing everything. Why is it every time it happens in this movie, it's always like this? One person sees everyone else get affected, and they stand still, and then they start to try to kill themselves. But one person is watching it go down. It doesn't make any sense. Wouldn't it affect everyone equally if it's like all spraying out in the air? It doesn't make sense. But, again, it's kind of funny. So, people look like they're clawing, and they say that. They're like, people look like they're clawing themselves, and they have like the people from far away at a far distance. And I'm like looking, I'm like paused on it. It's like, it doesn't really look like they're clawing each other, but okay, I guess. I guess I'll give you that movie. And again, that's what that one review, or the critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes was like, this movie starts well. It doesn't start well. Fucking the whole thing is just a train wreck from the beginning to the end. Doesn't make any sense already. But let's keep looking at the notes. Nothing makes sense almost immediately. I basically just touched on that. But yeah, just right away. What is going on? This movie is crazy. Friend is concerned but does nothing when she stabs herself in the neck. Yes. So, again, these people on the bench, one of them is noticing what's going on, and the other one is a part of everyone else just killing himself. And she takes a knitting needle out of her hair and stabs herself in the neck. And her friend's just like blank faced, like doesn't say anything. It's like, wouldn't you be like, ah, if you're or maybe she's in that state at that point of like comatose, not knowing what's going on. Maybe it affected her at that point. It's not clear. I guess it could give it that, but it still feels weird. You know, I think it would have been more effective for her to be like, ah. I mean, you already have her awake and aware. You might as well have her freak out at that fact. But anyway, moving on. More notes. Yeah, friend is concerned but does nothing. Does nothing. When she stands... Oh yeah, with this... I already read that. Scene with people jumping off buildings is kinda scary. This is the closest they get for me to being like, okay, this is a horror movie. It's kind of eerie. All these people just like falling, jumping off this building, killing themselves. But that's like the one of the very few positives I'm giving this. Other than, you know, a lot of the negatives add up, again, like I said, to add to the unintentional comedy of this movie. The way Marky Mark says lines is hilarious. He talks like this. And he's always sort of seems like he has childlike wonder in his voice or something like that. It's just constant. It's so cartoonish but funny. It's like someone doing a caricature of him almost. It's like he's doing an exaggeration of his character, of his regular, what he usually plays. The happening is categorized as a terrorist attack at first, and it's like, who is like deciding that? It just said, like, the news is just saying that shit. Like, who did the CDC say it? Who's saying this? But no, they said it's they do say later it's not a terrorist attack. It's like just right away, like, well, I think it's a terrorist attack. Why you just start guessing random shit? Just be like, we don't know what's going on. Be honest. Cam from Ferris Bueller, the guy who plays Cam in Ferris Bueller, he's in this movie for like one scene. It's like, oh, cool, you're in it. He's like the principal or some shit, and they have a staff meeting at the school that Marky Mark works at, and they're like, hey. And John Leguizamo also works at the school. It's like, hey, what the fuck's happening with all of this? There's people killing themselves. And that's all you get from him. I kind of would have liked more of him, actually. Marky Mark says, hey guys, but to who? Yeah, there was a part, I don't remember exactly, but he says, hey guys, and I'm like, who is he talking to? So I was confused. But again, it adds to the weird shit that doesn't make sense in this movie. Would they really try to evacuate all of NYC? Would they really try to evacuate all of New York City with this? So basically what has happened is some people, probably like, what? 40, 50 people that they sort of show roughly about killing themselves. I mean, that's shitty and super tragic, but really, you evacuate everyone? I guess they think it's a terrorist attack, so I don't know. It seems a little bit drastic to me, but I don't live in America. I don't really know, but I feel like that would be an absolute last resort because they want people to stay in the city and spend money, I would imagine. Again, that's just what I think. But let's keep moving down. with the notes. Philadelphia headline. I thought this was funny. They just show a newspaper headline real quick that says Philadelphia, because some people were dying in Philadelphia. I think because of this, the happening, people are killing themselves. You know, a sort of a dark pun, but any pun is noteworthy, so I put it in there. This isn't how people talk. I've already said this, and it's so true. People don't talk the way that M. Night Shyamalan writes people. It's just so unnatural almost all the time. Some movies are better than others, but this is one of those examples of what the fuck are people smoking in this movie that they're talking this weird. Don't take my daughter's hand unless you mean it. Yeah, that was a line that I just didn't understand. John Leguizamo says it to Zooey Deschanel, because John Leguizamo's trying to go figure out something. He's trying to go find his wife, so he leaves his daughter with Zooey Deschanel and with Marky Mark. But then Zooey Deschanel grabs her hand, and he's like, don't you grab her hand unless you mean it. And it's like, what? And she's like, okay. And I'm like, what? Calm down, John Leguizamo. She's fucking taking care of your daughter while you don't go doing your business. She's doing you a favor. You know, don't be snapping at our girl Zooey. Come on. But let's see what else we got on here. Guys somehow guesses it's the plants doing this. So usually in an M. Night Shyamalan movie, and most movies with a twist for that matter, the twist happens near the end of the film, and you know makes that build up and that surprise at the end that makes the movie more exciting. But this, they tell you the twist, boom, first half hour, at the end of the first act, boom. They're like, it's the plants. They're sending out the gas or whatever, and it's a guess, so that it's not finalized at that point. But it's like, if you're gonna have fake guesses like the terrorism or whatever, that's fine. But if you're gonna be guessing the actual twist, then that sort of ruins the twist at the end of the movie, kinda. But again, still kind of funny. She had just the dialogue, and he just somehow guesses it's the plants out of nowhere. It's just like, you know, plants emit neurotoxins sometimes or something. He just starts like spitting off plant facts. It's like, how do you know? Well, we know how he knows this shit. He knows plants, but it's like, how do you know that the plants are killing people? Maybe he did it. Maybe that should have been the real twist. He's the mastermind doing this shit. He's the Bond villain. But yeah, so there's some crazy dialogue, like I've already said in this. Cheese and Crackers, the military, this guy from the military, they talk about like where they're coming from, people being dead and stuff, and it's like, cheese and crackers. And then the plant guy's like, you like hot dogs? I like hot dogs. Were they hungry when they were writing this? Like, I like cheese and crackers and I like hot dogs. Let's just put that in the line. Let's just put that in the movie. I thought it was crazy. Why does the woman listen when Marky Mark tells her daughter to stay away from the tree? Oh, wait. Just a sec. Give me a second with this note. Why does woman listen when Marky Mark tell her? Oh yeah, so there's some random person they don't know. She's talking on the phone, and she's like to her daughter, "Is like, what's going on? There's people dead outside. Oh my god, you know, it's a horror movie stuff. People dying." But Marky Mark's, and because she's saying, "Come close to the tree. Go by the window. Stay by the window in the tree." And Marky Mark, because he's convinced that the trees are doing it at this point, he's like, "No, stay away from the tree." And the woman just like, yeah, I'm going to listen to this random guy yelling this shit. Stay away from the tree. I would just be like, fuck you, Marky Mark. This is my daughter. I'm talking to her. Leave me alone. That would have been a more realistic occurrence, and it would have caused some more conflict and maybe added a little bit more interest into the movie. But yeah. So I didn't get that. that's what that note is about. Marky Mark asking Plant if they can use the bathroom. It's so silly. This I feel like this part was maybe trying to be funny though. At least he's like whispers to Plant, like, there's a plant in the house that they're sort of just borrowing the washroom and maybe some food for the kids when they're in there. But yeah, he's like whispering to this plant. It's like, it's okay. We just want to use the bathroom. I hope that's all right. I hope that's okay, Mr. Plant. And then he touches the plant and it's plastic. I guess that's sort of the joke that he was whispering to a plastic plant. But I gotta admit, that scene made me laugh. And yeah, my next note is just the dialogue in all caps. The dialogue is crazy. I've already said that. I'm not going to say any more on that. Let's just keep going with the notes. Why wouldn't everyone just go indoors? So yeah, this to me is the biggest plot hole in the whole thing. Why wouldn't they just everyone go inside and, you know, close the windows, close the doors, close the vents for a little bit at least, till this thing blows over, because it's the toxins to the air, and if you're in somewhere where it's not blowing to you, hypothetically, you're a better chance than wandering around outside anyway, I think. But they don't do that. So to me, that's the biggest plot hole. We're normal proceeds to sing Mississippi Woman. So this is again, this is me thinking maybe this is them trying to be funny, but it actually is kind of funny. Marky Mark is knocking on this house. This scene is crazy, by the way. He's knocking on the house door. He's trying to get in. There's somebody in there, not letting him in. And he's like, come on, let us in. We're normal. Hold back, woman. Keep on rolling. Mississippi woman gonna keep on shining on me. He starts singing that song. It's like, that's not normal. That's not normal. Nobody is normal in this. Everyone's talking weird. The dialogue is insane. And you singing Mississippi Woman isn't going to help the situation. And so what the old man behind the door does is he puts his gun out and he shoots these two random kids that just joined their party. They basically just joined the party to get shot. He shoots both these kids and then that's it. They have the kid that's John Leguizamo's, but these two kids just get shot in the face randomly. And it's an insane scene because I didn't see that coming. It doesn't have anything to do with the plants making people kill themselves. It's just an angry old man killing children. So it's like, holy fuck, you know? Kind of caught me off guard. But again, this movie is just done so crazy that it's kind of funny because it's so oddly put together, this whole film. Killing the two kids is shocking. I just talked about that scene. That scene is shocking, I must say. Marky Mark should just say thanks for dinner. Yeah, I mean, this random woman, she's being sort of weird. Again, the people are just written weird in this. She like is acting all grumpy, but still lets them into her house and invites them for dinner. Even though she's being grumpy, I think he should have said thank you. He just says nothing and walks in. Be like, thank you for offering me the dinner. That's awesome. Or be like, thank you at least. But he doesn't say thank you. Not be polite is my note there, basically. Woman slaps Jess's hand. Jess is the name of the little girl who Zooey and Marky Mark are taking care of. But yeah, so this is another point. This woman is crazy. This doesn't have anything to do with like the plants making her crazy. I think she's just crazy because Jess goes in and she goes for a cookie on the table. You know, it's fair. They were eating dinner. It's on the table. You think it was fair game. And then the old woman just slaps her hands like, the fuck away from those cookies. And then a few minutes later, she just gives her one of the cookies anyway. So, I get her being crazy, but that's crazier than crazy. Because, if you're going to smack her, why not, if you're going to give her the cookie anyway, why smack her is what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. Yeah, she gives her a cookie anyway. What? She doesn't want to know what's going on at all. Really? She's so reluctant, but still helps them for some reason. Wait, let me just look at this note for a second. What am I saying here? She doesn't want to know What's good at all? Oh yeah, that's again another thing that the old woman says that's weird. She's like, I don't want to know what's going on. She doesn't want to know what the plants are, or what's killing everyone. It's like, wouldn't you want to know? That seems weird. She's so reluctant, but still helps them for some reason. It's like, if you don't like these people, all you've done is like give them shit since you've been there. Why are you letting them into your home? You could have just not let them into your home. Again, she's crazy, but without reason. The craziness is crazy, and the craziness doesn't make sense in this particular case, in my opinion. So yeah, there's my note for that. People just know when the happening stops somehow. So there's a certain point where Marky Mark and the little girl and Zooey Deschanel, they go outside. And I don't know if either they just knew that it was over, because they go out and it's fine, and it just stopped all of a sudden, I guess. I'm not sure if that's the case, if they thought it was still going on, they went out to go kill themselves. Because if that was the case, it's crazy. Because they're bringing up the little girl, like, we're just going to give up and kill ourselves and this little girl. But it's not even as crazy as the other alternative, which is they're just guessing. They're like, oh, well, I think it's over now. Let's go check it out. So I don't know. Again, this movie is so weird. It's so bad, but very funny. And a lot of things don't make sense. So if you could turn off your brain and just go with it and laugh at the silliness in front of you on the screen, you can maybe enjoy it. How much more we got for notes here? Obvious environmental message. Yeah, it's obvious that they're kind of saying that. They say it in the movie, the plants perceive us as a threat, so they put out the neurotoxin, and obviously we are a threat to the environment and plants. You can see why, you can see the point of the message, but it's very tacked on, it's very obvious, you know. Why is there always one person that's not affected and able to watch it go down? So I already sort of said this at the beginning, but yeah, that's a theme throughout, where there's someone, because they have a scene at the end where they think the happening's over, but it happens again later in France or some shit. And again, they have the one guy watching everybody else kill themselves, but he can see it going on and react just for the sake of the movie, so we have someone to see a reaction of, I guess. But it doesn't make sense as far as the plot goes. Anyway, that's it. That's my review of The Happening. What are we going to give it? Let's give it out of 10. Again, this movie's not good, but it's super silly, and I had a fun time with it. I'm going to give it 6.5. It's so bad it's good, but it's not that so bad it's good. It's not like a Other Room level movie where you're laughing the whole way super hard. But there's some good funny bits in this, and I was never bored in it. It's only an hour and a half. It's on Disney Plus if you want to check it out. But yeah, The Happening. 6.5 out of 10 ducks.